Hey everyone, make sure everyone can hear me okay and then we can get started. Can you guys hear me okay? Have my headset off. But I think it should still be fine. Anyway, I've been kind of tracking the Amazon like 4 or 5 month chart for a bit. I did see a few talk in there about this one too. And Dougie posted this one, he did a stream on this yesterday. I feel like it's still stuck in an inside range, but just for reference, if you do an extension on the 12 month in terms of like exhaustion expansion on this one, okay, it's getting super close, do you guys see that, to reaching that range. So I would set alerts off that 261.11. It is a really big spot, and this is the first time here, like I don't know if you guys can see this, since like mid Q4 last year, where they're actually clearing this area this time. So if you look at it from January 2nd, you guys see this right here? I would consider these cleared breaks of these ranges, which means it has better odds this time of actually clearing above that 261. I'll tag Dougie in that too. Okay, so it's just a interesting way of looking at this. It's also flagging on the daily, which is pretty obvious, but if you look at the daily on even a, I think it was a 6-day, I don't remember exactly what it was. No, not a 6-day. Oh, I wanted to see what, yeah, the 8-day from January 2nd. This runs until the 6th, so this could easily have some odds of those continuation bars. It's one of the nicer flag setups. There weren't too many on Amazon. They're a little bit harder to spot, but you could definitely mark that. And they report February 5th, so this aligns with their earnings date, okay? So that's one that you can track and monitor. Let me just reset this one. And yes, gold is finally hitting those points. So we're looking for that 5,121.97 to 5,129, 5,137, 5,140. This is the area that we want to see a lot more liquidity too. We just looked at this for gold. And markets gave us a really good opportunity to try picking this up yesterday. I did mention that. With these getting that nice pullback on both gold and silver yesterday into the close. So this was pretty perfect in terms of range. And these ones have those bigger flip dates on the 2nd and 3rd, which we're going to watch really closely because we're trying to trigger 5,491 on this. Let's check our GC chart though. Oh wow, that's perfect, you guys. 51.20 is a huge spot. This is what could trigger that 5,500 basically, is this break right here. And when looking at it off like the December 31st lows, and when measuring this off of the January 2nd lows versus like January 2nd open, when we looked at this to the highs, it should be linked around these areas too. So there was a lot of confluence around these ranges in here. Okay, even when looking back at the GC chart, and we said that this moves in about 83.9 point intervals. So we'd probably have to close at a minimum of like 50.87, 50.86. These are off like the 40. These are really measured spots here. So from there we could probably mark these if you want. These would be like the next midpoints on the GC chart, closer to like 20. $285, or you could just mark that 89-point interval above or below, but it should be pretty close to these ranges in here, with obviously the bigger areas off those structured lows being closer to here. Oops. We don't have to look at this exactly right now, but I think it's still good to just have them marked just in case. Okay. And look at the liquidity coming in here too. That's not random. And Josh. Sorry, I know some of you guys don't care too much about gold, but this is a huge break. Silver is also flagging on that daily too, so same thing with silver. Silver off that 110 mark. These are really big spots for silver here. And the goal with this was, as long as it holds off that 102, 103, which it did, this was a really, really, really good buyback opportunity on silver. Okay, because there's nothing really in between here until it comes back down to like beneath 102, 103. I know you guys want to look at ES, but this is a lot more interesting. ES is pretty straightforward though. There isn't really anything to it. We literally held exactly 697,172 last night. which is what we wanted in terms of like those core holds that we talked about end of stream. So they did a good job of holding these core areas like close to here. They retracted the zone. They held exactly 6988 this morning. And they're breaking the 7018, 7020. We already know that this time around 7018 to 7014, 7020 had more overhead. I've talked about this a lot. So I'm not surprised to see them kind of stall that range first, but we're still looking for 7022, 28 to be tested ahead of Fed. Okay, so Fed is tomorrow. And thank you so much for posting those notes this morning. These were really, really good notes. If $70.14, $70.20 earliest triggers, but we're looking for $70.22, $70.20, $70.32 ahead of FOMC to offset the odds like last time. I still want them to try taking it to the channel. Today was the earliest odds that they could retest all-time highs, but I think based on the overnight action and stalling, like I said, they stalled 70.12 and we never got that full break right here. I feel like they would have at least had to have taken out 70.12, 70.14 for that to have been the case. And this is likely why, just real quick here, this is likely why they are stalling to get to 70.22, 24 a little bit. Does that make sense, you guys? Like these are, I would bet anything too, like off these highs. Okay, it's probably that 8.5. Okay, on breaking these zones. And this is probably why we haven't triggered the 70.27, 70.28 areas yet. Okay, so they could maybe cap range around these areas here today, like close to 70.24, 26, 27. That's due to not triggering that big overhead last night. But that doesn't mean that they can't give us like full range and upside. And I think the differential would have been that 5.75, which is the 2 points. Had they triggered even higher last night, like closer to 70.18, 70.16, okay, we probably had that 13 point or 12 point offset. So that would have been higher odds of getting that 70.28, 70.32. Do you guys see it? Can you guys at least confirm that you understand this concept? Pretty important that you understand where ranges and differentials come in from. Okay? So it's pretty straightforward that if they would have triggered closer to 2.2 maybe last night, or that 2.4, 2.6 area, then we would have had way better odds of getting the full zone retracement here, okay? And retesting all-time highs closer to 70.38. Do you see that? So I think in this case, like if they had triggered our 70.23, 32, or 70.23, 24, then we would have had odds of getting that 70.41. So just so that you guys can understand how these areas are correlated to one another. So like triggering 70.23, 24 would have allowed for that 40, 41, so on and so forth. So I feel like the odds are a little bit closer today to max ranges being, I would say closer to beneath 70.28, probably closer to like this 70.23, 22, 27 spot, but we'll have to see how they react by 3:30. Yeah, because 12 was a big overhead for last night, right? Like the 12 and 14, we talked about that yesterday. And you can kind of see here, they did clear 14 here and then stalled and then kind of just brought it to that 1850 spot. 1850 is not bad. Another way of looking at this too is that 2.75 reduction that we've had for a while now is probably why they haven't triggered the bull zone yet. Do you see that? Like if this zone was closely aligned to that 87, 8725 like we've talked about, do you see it? This is, it's that same 2.75 to 3.25 offsets in terms of getting into like the bull zone or whatever. Or you can think of it too as being like the 2.75 beneath, which is why there was more alignment with 70-30, like we just looked at, like on that 12-point range. Or you can think of it as the 2.75 maybe beneath 2.8. So not that they can't do this, like there's still some odds that they could because they held the channel above 8.7, 8.8 down here, but I feel like they really would have to try pushing and clearing 70.18, 70.21, 23 before 336. What do you guys think? Like if they're going to actually get it there. I just figure that they're probably going to pin the close and ideally pin it in this area here because that's what we want, because we want to be testing these areas before Fed tomorrow, correct? So the best thing to do for us now, I don't care if they keep it stuck in the zone all night, I don't really care as long as they test those areas ahead of time. Because where do we almost always end up before a major release? Which areas? And I had a very good idea that they'd probably end up in this area if they can hold immediately off the open. Usually a zone or a channel. So them sustaining, and we had the odds. If they don't sustain immediately, they would retract down back to this previous zone. If they sustain immediately, they would take it back to like our all-time high zone, which is this one here, with odds of getting it back. I drew this yesterday, of odds of getting it back to the channel in time for Fed. So, and if they want to digest or whatever they want to do there, then that's fine. We also have those engulfing odds. I don't think that they're going to engulf anymore today because they're kind of running out of time now, but they did have those odds on the 6-day. Okay. And then there were a few odds right here. Like there's a lot of confluence around the 29th. So starting off with the 9-day and then just give me a second here. Sorry, my sister was calling me. So there's double flips on the 29th, you guys. So 28th engulfing is the highest odds for the week, but they still had some probabilities of doing it today. I don't think that they can today if they never tested or cleared 70, 20, 22, 28 yet. What do you guys think? Like, they'd have to really push the close for that to be the case. I have to sign off, you guys. My mom's not feeling well, so I'm going to go over there and check on her. But my thoughts into the close were basically just to see if they can clear this area here, preferably no later than like at least 70.21. Like I don't really want them to be trading beneath there by like the 45 mark, but ideally by 3.6. If you can get there by 3.6, I think that there's some odds that they can at least test this area here into the close. But the best thing to do would just be to roll your contracts probably into tomorrow, are my thoughts. Okay, I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Gold actually triggered that 51.40 spot. So a lot of these now could become pinnable into the close, like with gold at 51.22 to 40, silver around that 110 to 114 area, and then ES obviously between 70.12 The issue is they don't, ES doesn't owe us much more above this today, so if they don't want to do that, they don't have to. If they want to keep it neutralized, they can. So pinnable areas on ES are closer to like 7006, 7012, 7014, 7016, 7018, 7022. Anything above 2223 is obviously the best case scenario, but if they don't clear these areas, and I would say the next, what time is it? Probably in the next 10 to 15 minutes, then the odds of them doing it right into the close are pretty low. I think they have to at least test the 2021 area. No later than like, for sure, 350. Because how could they test 3.2 if they haven't even triggered? If they haven't even triggered 2.1. In terms of calculated points in time today too, and like the overnight ranges, hello? There were some odds that were super late into end of session, close to like 356. So 355, 356 have the most pressure for real-time session this afternoon. Okay, guys? So if they did want to leave it for like final end of day, this is the most important period here. I usually watch 354, 55 anyway, but the 56 is the actual flip today. Okay? Any questions before I end the stream? Are you guys good to go? I'll be back probably in like a half hour just to at least add some closing commentary, but